Hello, my Holy Comforter family. Most of you will have heard by now that I have accepted a call to be the next Dean of St. Peter's Cathedral in Tallahassee, Florida. If you have not seen the letter that I sent out earlier this week, I ask you to take a minute now and go read that. And if you still have questions after that, please let me know. I'll be glad to answer anything. I wanted to record this video and go along with that letter only because it grieves me that because of time constraints and because of the pandemic, I wasn't able to go talk to so many of you face to face as I really, really wish I had and was able to. I wish I could speak to each of you individually. So I hope this poor substitute for that will help you forgive me for not doing that. And as I record this, the face of dozens of people I love very much come flooding to my mind. Looking back, it's clear to me, it didn't become clear until recently, that every time God has called me in a new direction, there are four marks that have always been true, every single time. The first is that it came out of the blue. It's not something I sought or expected. The second is that things developed very slow, and it seemed as though that was going nowhere. That was not going to happen. And then all of a sudden, it picked up speed and I couldn't keep up with it. Third, people I trust knew that call was real and would happen long before I did. And fourth, the change made sense not only for me but for my family. Those things were true of my call to the priesthood. They were true of my call to Holy Comforter Sumter. They were true of my call to be the rector of this place. And they are true now as I head to St. Peter's, Tallahassee. I mentioned in my letter, but another reality that made me realize that this was God's call is that I am convinced it's right for Holy Comforter. We have been through a tough season these last 8 or 9 years. First under my friend and mentor, John Barr, and then with me as the rector. It's time for Holy Comforter to turn the page and let someone else lead in the more peaceful season that I trust is coming. You have been a church that risked it all for the sake of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Most of you were willing to walk away from everything you had ever known at Holy Comforter if that was needed. Most of you were willing to bear with one another, and you are a stronger and more faithful church because of it. As for how you treated me, I have made many mistakes, but most of you have forgiven me. I have learned more than I could have ever imagined, and most of you showed me the grace to let me learn. That is who you are. That is who you have been, and I know that is who you will be. A church that perseveres and loves well. Yes, there is a ton of work ahead, but I know deep down in my knower that God will send you the right rector to lead you into the next season, and you will be just as forgiving and graceful to them as you have been to me. I think you should also know you have one of the best church staffs in all of Christendom. This is a staff that laughs together. They cry together. They do everything prayerfully, and as best they can, they put Jesus at the center of it all. I thank God for them, and you should too. October 18th will be my last Sunday here as your rector, but it will not be my last Sunday as your friend or as your brother. In the Navy, there was an old trope that nobody really ever got over their first ship, and they compared every ship that came after it to that first ship. Holy Comforter will always be the church. You will always be the family that raised me in ministry, that let me fail and try again. You will always be my first ship, and for that I am profoundly grateful. I love you, and I can't wait to see what God has in store for Holy Comforter Sumter.